Well, good morning everyone and welcome to Trust's 2025 AGM. My name is Norbert Ryson. I'm Chair of the Trust Board. Thank you for attending what is our 6th virtual AGM, and although we're not together in person, I hope you find the meeting useful. For those, as Annette has mentioned, for those who are unable to attend, we are recording the meeting and we'll share it on the website. We've also allowed plenty of time at the end of the meeting to take comments and questions from anybody who's attending. And we've got 1 or 2 questions submitted in advance, which will come to towards the end of the meeting. I'd like to introduce our panel of people here who will perhaps answer questions and also speak. First of all is obviously Rona, our Chief Executive, Zoe Purdy, our Director of Finance and People, Jenny Wallace, our Director of Business Development and Digital, Jackie McIntosh, Director of Assets and Sustainability, and Andy Shaw, who's our External Auditor from Anderson Brown, and Annette Brown, our Company Secretary, who we've already heard from. There's a screen there is on the screen an agenda, and that was posted out in advance of the meeting. We'll start the meeting by passing to Rona, who's going to talk through her Chief Executive's report.
Thank you, Honourable. A very warm welcome to everybody as we look back on the past financial year and share with you some of the highlights from our trust year. But context, once again, is everything. And for our customers and for us as an organisation, it's been again a difficult time as everyone continues to struggle through the seemingly never-ending cost of living crisis. A priority for us, therefore, in the past year has been and remains into this year to do all that we can to support our customers in the face of ongoing challenges. In 2024, we had a hardship fund of £70,000. All of it was allocated throughout the course of the year to support customers from a wide geographical spread and different types of homes. The fund was accessed via our customer partners and was essential help for people struggling to keep up with rent payments or having trouble buying essential household items. I shared with you last year that we'd increased the number of people in our welfare benefits team. This ongoing investment has meant that in 2024-25, the total financial gain for customers was a huge £4 million. That's up quite a bit from the amount the previous year, which was £2.7 million. As I'm sure you can imagine, we get so much positive customer feedback about the service provided by this team of just 3 colleagues. We've recently begun to focus strongly on what we refer to as community benefits. In working with our major contractors, they are able to commit to making financial contributions to our hardship fund or by benefiting customers in other ways. Through this route, we've secured £127,000 in financial contributions to our hardship fund and a further £1,500 in supermarket vouchers for customers in our later living developments. Although last year was again a challenging one for all, we nevertheless demonstrated resilience in the high levels of service we were able to maintain for our customers. In fact, I think the results I will share do show we've had one of our strongest years ever in terms of how we performed relative to our targets. As ever, our annual performance report will be published in October this year, but I can share with you now the performance in some of the areas we know are key to our customers. I think before I say any more on that, we should note that the results are a testament to our incredible team of colleagues, both at the front line and those based in our offices. So a few facts on the screen. 2.1 hours on average to complete emergency repairs. That was down from 2.8 in the previous year. And you can compare it to the Scottish average, which is 3.5 hours. 5.5 days on average to complete non-emergency repairs. The Scottish average is 8.9 days. 93.3% of our repairs were completed right first time, better by a smidgen, 1.65% than the previous year. And 2% rent arrears, again better than last year and far better than the Scottish average, which sits at 6.4%. 13.3% of our homes became vacant in the year. The majority of these tend to occur in our later living developments. It took us 85 average days to let an empty home. This remains a challenge for us, but in the last year we've both reviewed our processes for letting empty homes and have set up a specialist team to work on the most challenging homes to let. I'm delighted to say this work has resulted in reducing the number of empty homes we have at any one time, and it has improved the amount of rent loss due to empty homes. In the prior year, that 2.9% rent loss figure was sitting at 4%. Great to see it reduced to 2.9%, and we continue to see further improvement in our numbers in this current year. Figures relating to customer satisfaction are not in the numbers I've shared with you today. However, a full customer satisfaction survey across all Trust customers is underway currently, with results due to be available by November of this year. At Trust, we give you an update each year on our digital journey, which has been ongoing for some time. Some more and significant steps forward have been achieved in the past year. Our customer relationship management system went live in January of this year, improving the experience for customers contacting Trust. Our customer portal, My Trust, and you can see the logo for it there on the screen, was launched in March 2025, giving customers the ability to access a number of services, such as reporting repairs, applying for housing, paying rent, digitally and at a time that is convenient for them. We're in the process of implementing a new care and support system, digitising and transforming the personal planning process. 8 developments are live with the programme, which is ongoing through 2025-26. We have also implemented a new customer feedback and engagement application, supporting the automation and digitisation of surveys and various communications with customers. In addition, we implemented the recruitment and onboarding module of our new HR system, with the final module, talent and performance management, on track to be implemented shortly. At Trust, our people are our greatest asset. We strive to do our best to be a good employer and to be a great place to work. The past year has seen several initiatives in place to help with that. We continue to offer a popular counselling service, as well as our coffee and chat sessions, and are progressing with a menopause support group. The mental health supporters and employee wellbeing groups continue to support our colleagues, and our employee forum has expanded and completed its second successful year, helping to shape people-related initiatives and acting as the voice of our employees. Once again, the employee satisfaction survey results from last year told us, as an organisation, we compare very well with others. But for me, it's the culture and values of Trust which are the shining crown of who we are, what we do. Our colleagues and teams go the extra mile for customers, for each other, for Trust, and that is seen and appreciated by me, and certainly also by our Trust board. These are the things that will continue to take us forward and give us and me great confidence in the future of Trust. I wanted to close with a thank you to our fantastic Trust board, who provide so much skill and inspiration to us to ensure that even in challenging times, we're not only delivering a great service today, but are continually developing Trust for a sustainable and successful long-term future. So a huge thank you from me to our board. And at this point, I'm going to hand back to Norval.
Thank you, Rona. We now start to turn to the more formal part of the AGM. The first item is apologies. Annette, any apologies?
Yes, we've received 15 apologies and 8 proxies.
Thank you. The next item is the approval of the minutes from the AGM last year. These were circulated ahead of this meeting to members for members' review. And so I would ask, first of all, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from members who were at last year's AGM? I would suggest if you've got comments, you raise what's called an electronic hand, as it's difficult to see otherwise. And we'll come to you if there are any questions or comments. It seems there are none, in which case, can I ask that the minutes are adopted as a true record of last year's AGM, and that these be proposed and seconded by members who attended last year? Can I have a proposal, please?
I'm happy to propose them. Norval, it's Ali here.
Thank you, Ali. And the seconder?
I think there's someone in the room, Edinburgh room.
All right.
Yes.
We've got second as well. So thank you, and that's the minutes been adopted as true record. The next item is my report as chair of trust. This is my third year as chair of trust, fourth year on trust board, and it's been a busy and challenging year. I'm sure we would all have wanted a much more favourable economic environment in which to operate, both our customers and also the staff of trust. And it would help through the strategy if the economic environment is stable and favourable. I fear that we will continue to be in an unfavourable environment, and it's something we're getting used to. However, Rona set the scene very well in her remarks, and it's encouraging to note such a strong performance in our operational key indicators. And getting these things right is so important to our customers and for the long-term viability of trust, and that's the two areas that the board is most concerned with. Despite that adverse economic climate, turnover increased, and the organisation was able to deliver a surplus of 1.4 million and meet bank covenants. That's both an improvement on last year, which the surplus was 0.8 million, and significantly better than the budget we set, as Ron mentioned. As trust is a charity, not for profit, any surplus that we generate is used for the benefit of members, or looking after our properties, the services that we provide, and so on. No outside shareholders. I'd also like to say that I'm extremely grateful for the continued service of our highly skilled and ambitious board and leadership team at Trust, and indeed all the employees of Trust, who have taken the organisation once more from strength to strength and sustained a resilient business against a continuously challenging backdrop, as I mentioned. Our core purpose is to invest in our homes so that we continue to meet national standards and, very importantly, the needs of our existing and future customers. We made significant capital investment of 4.5 million in our homes last year, and that doesn't include the cost of repairs. We installed new windows and doors in 93 homes, 64 new kitchens, and 58 new bathrooms. We also continue to upgrade electrics where required, and this year the programme of work included new fuse boxes in 90 homes. We installed smart heating controls to 345 homes throughout the country to assist with the efficiency of their storage heating systems. And we've made a significant investment in smart controls and thermostatic radiator valves to allow heating within the communal areas or later living developments to be managed more effectively. I imagine that's a trend that's going to continue. We also continue to upgrade our other systems within the common area of our later living properties, such as new fire alarms and communal electrical and lighting upgrades using low energy lighting systems. In the last year, we completed medical adaptation to 175 properties. These are hugely important in helping customers continue to live safely and comfortably in their own homes. 24-25, the Scottish Government reduced considerably the amount of grants available for that work, the lowest it's ever been. I'm glad to say that 25-26, the amount available grant has recovered, and it really is most helpful generally if customers can remain in their own homes if unfortunately their health takes a turn for the worse. And the grant that the Scottish Government made is very important in that. Growth continues to be a strategic priority for Trust as we near the end of the Time is Now strategy and look ahead to developing a new strategy for 26 onwards. Growth is important to us and to our customers, as growth helps actually keep costs under control because they get spread over a wider base. We were delighted when our Langlands development of 46 new homes in Govan recently won small social housing development of the year at the prestigious Scottish Home Awards. That's very good news, I think, and something we're very pleased about. With the aid of significant levels of government grant, we need to acquire either in small groups or individual purchases homes that are coming to the social rented sector. There is a combination of new build homes or second-hand homes on the open market. I'm sure you've all read about the homeless issues in Scotland, and anything we can do to help offset these homeless issues, we try to do. The Rima Road new build development in Bells Hill is progressing well and will deliver 48 new homes for customers by February 2026. We also continue to develop a pipeline of new builds and other growth opportunities. As the Isle of Arran's largest social housing provider with almost 300 homes, we have been making a significant impact on the island's energy efficiency landscape over 24-25. And of course, energy efficiency is something that's important to all of us. In summer 2024, a transformative retrofit programme was launched with over 3 million investment upgrades across 252 homes on the island, 60% of which were classed as hard to treat. Delivered in partnership with Ayrshire-based Green Home Systems and paid for with a significant contribution in the form of grant funding, the project's multi-measure improvements included the following upgrades: underfloor, loft and roof installation, high heat retention storage heaters, solar PV systems, external battery storage, air source heat pumps, and new ventilation systems. All 252 homes subject to this have been upgraded to EPC Band B from starting bands of D to F, helping us to reduce our overall carbon footprint. B is a much better efficiency measure. It shows much better energy efficiency than being D anywhere in D to F. The works are already providing benefit to customers, making their homes warmer, easier, and cheaper to heat. The feedback has been incredible, and as a result, we are keen to extend the benefits to as many customers as possible. Building on the success of the Arran project, plans for a further phase of works across 300 homes in the north and west of Scotland are underway. I may now turn to acknowledging changes to our Trust Board. This year we said farewell to Ian Gunning, who served on the Trust Board for over 3 years. We're grateful for his contribution and wish him well. We also now bid farewell to Gordon Laurie, who has served on the Trust Board for 9 years and has contributed greatly to the development of the Trust throughout his time on the board. We are very grateful to Gordon for his incredible contribution to the Trust over that period, and I am particularly grateful to him in his role as Deputy Chairman, helping guide a new incoming Chairman through the intricacies of being Chair of Trust. It's with some sadness that I now let you know of one other change that is to come, and this is personal sadness as well as I know is also sadness generally throughout Trust, which is that Rona has let the board know of her decision to retire from position as Chief Executive at the end of this financial year. We will say much more near the time, but the sadness is real. Recruitment for a new Chief Executive will begin shortly. Rona will work with the board and colleagues to ensure a smooth leadership transition and the appointment of an outstanding candidate for leading Trust forward into the future. In the meantime, Rona will continue to drive the organisation forward and leading the development of Trust's new 5-year strategy. Rona has led Trust with great skill and drive throughout her period as Chief Executive. And through some very difficult times, COVID being one of them, and the economic environment which has had to operate those last 2 or 3 years. We've also had the great benefit of our superb motivational and team building gifts which are responsible for the culture of Trust. We're going to miss very much. But we must look to the future as well. Trust has achieved a significant amount this past year. We have a clear purpose, which is benefit tenants, expand the number of homes available to people, and that is the core of our mission. And we have a clear purpose, which as we've got strong foundations, both financial and in our team of people, and a great culture. My thanks to all who've been a part of that. Right, that finishes my remarks. I'll pass over to our Director of Finance and People, Zoe Purdy, to cover financial aspects.
So I'm Zoe Purdy, Director of Finance and People, and I'm going to run through the financial results for the year ended 31st of March 2025. So just a brief reminder, as Norval touched on earlier, so Trust Housing Association is a charity. We're registered in Scotland and provide both social landlord and care services across the whole of Scotland. Our income is generated from customers' rent, from service charges, and also from local authorities, which fund the majority of those care and support services. And as a not-for-profit, the Trust has no shareholders. We don't pay any dividends. All surpluses are reinvested back into existing homes and new homes for current and future customers. Trust is governed by a voluntary unpaid board of trustees. Board members are highly experienced and always have customers' interests at the heart. And to our performance, again, as alluded to, we continue to be impacted by high operating costs, particularly across property repairs and maintenance. Energy costs are still high, food inflation continues to increase, real living wage increases each year, insurance is particularly high, and interest rates remain high. So unfortunately, this seems to now be the new normal. So we saw the majority of those increases come on the back of COVID and the cost of living crisis. There are no signs of costs decreasing. So we now have needed to adjust it to that new normal. And that's us as an organisation. And we absolutely understand that's all of our customers and employees as well. However, despite all those challenges, through sound financial management, we have delivered a small surplus. We've invested in homes and we've satisfied our bank loan covenants. So turnover for the year was 44 million, surplus 1.4 million. We invested £10 million in 24-25 across our existing homes. We have our housing stock, which is valued at cost of 280 million. And against that, we borrow loans. So our net debt position at the end of the year was 46 million, which equated to just below £12,000 per home. And I would, at that point, like to hand over to Andy Shaw, partner of AAB, who has just completed the audit of those numbers I've just shared with you. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Zoe. So I'm pleased to be with you today to provide a statement on the Association's report and financial statements. So the audit for the year ended 31st of March 2025 was our fourth year as auditor, and myself and the audit team are really appreciative of the support and time of all the members of the finance team during the audit process. The audit process was smooth and progressed to the required timetable. The responsibilities of AAB as auditor are set out within the auditor's report within the financial statements. Our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether that's due to fraud or error. And it's the responsibility of the board to prepare the financial statements in such a way that they are free from material misstatement and provide a true and fair view. In performing the external audit, we need to assess which areas of the financial statements are most at risk of material misstatement and focus our work on those areas. The areas we focused upon were valuation of the association's participation in the Scottish Housing Association's pension scheme, which is a liability on the balance sheet of the association. We focus on the management override of controls fraud risk, which is a risk common in any audit. We focus on debtor provision, valuation, and accounting for property developments. Across all these risk areas, we have concluded that the financial statements are materially appropriately stated, the accounting policies are appropriate, and there are no unadjusted audit misstatements which could have material impact. The board has prepared the financial statements on a going concern basis, which means that they have been prepared on the assumption that the association has appropriate funding to meet its liabilities for the next 12 months. As auditor, we've reviewed the financial forecasts and the financial position of the association, and we concur that the financial statements should be prepared on the going concern basis, having challenged and assessed the forecasts. On behalf of AAB, I have issued an unqualified audit opinion, which states that the financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of this association's affairs. The opinion states that the financial statements have been prepared in accordance with the required accounting standards and have been prepared in accordance with the requirements of the relevant regulations. So in providing the opinion on the financial statements, we must be independent, and I confirm that myself and AAB are independent of the association. So that concludes the areas for me to cover, with a key takeaway being the unqualified audit opinion provided. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Andy. Now we move to the appointment of auditors. As Andy said, Anderson Brown is the fourth auditor trust, and board seeks reappointment of Anderson Brown to complete the audit for next year. The responsible partner is Andy, who we just heard from, and he is head of the public sector not-for-profit part of Anderson Brown. So can I ask the proposer and seconder to approve the appointment of Anderson Brown as auditors, please?
Yeah, I would like to propose Norval. It's David Knight.
Thank you, David. Do you have a
And
second?
I will second it. It's Paul McFarlane here.
Thank you, Paul. Now we have a proposer and seconder. Everybody happy with that appointment? Yes, good. So that's done. Now I pass back to Annette, who will take us through issues of board membership and so on.
Thank you, Chair. Now, looking back to last year, there were 11 board members at our last AGM. One board member decided to retire throughout the course of the year, taking us to 10 board members. As stated by our rules, 1/3 of our elected members are required to retire at the AGM. As this is the case, the 3 board members that are due to retire are Gordon Laurie, Paul McFarlane and Ian Mitchell-Moore. Gordon has indicated that he intends to retire from the board and will not be seeking re-election, and both Paul and Ian have confirmed that they would like to seek re-election. In addition, we have 3 new candidates who have completed a robust recruitment exercise and seek election to the board. All 3 candidates are endorsed by the board for election, and those 3 candidates are James Black, Catherine Wainwright and Laura Cameron. Catherine brings over 20 years of strategic leadership experience in social care, the voluntary sector, social enterprise, consultancy and a variety of voluntary-based roles, and she is currently the Director of People and Culture at Scottish Autism. James brings 40 years of commercial experience in oil and gas, chemicals and energy transition industries, and established a leading commercial consultancy. James has significant experience at the senior level in business strategy, project delivery, complex negotiations and asset management. And Laura is an investments lawyer with Coutts & Co. Her key practice areas are investment funds and sustainability. Laura is passionate about social equality and volunteers with several initiatives. Most recently, she joined the Scotland Board of Women in Banking and Finance and supports the charity Future Asset as a coach. As the 5 candidates standing for election or re-election is less than or equal to the number of vacancies for elected committee members, they will automatically be elected without the need for a vote, taking us to a full complement and a total of 12 elected committee members. Thank you, Chair. I'll now pass back to you.
Thanks, Annette. We'll now move to any other business and particular questions for the panel which are with us today. We've received a few pre-submitted questions that the panel will address first, and then I'll open up the questions to the floor for any further questions. So Annette, if you would like to run through the questions.
Yeah. That's no problem at all. Okay, so we've had a few questions here. The first one was from a member at the Duns Development who requested a copy of the accounts as they feel that the only information tenants receive is information relating to what percentage their rent increase is going to be and how that money is distributed to different departments. And now, in response to this request, I can confirm that a full copy of Trust annual accounts are now available on the Trust website under the How We Are Performing section. If any members don't have access to a computer and would prefer a hard copy of the accounts to be posted to them, please let me know and I can arrange for this to happen and be posted out to you. Now, the second question we received was from a member at the Langlands Development who asked the following. Given the commitments outlined in Trust Housing Association's anti-social behaviour policy, such as investigating all reported incidents, taking proportionate action, including legal remedies for category A and B complaints, like assault, threats, violence and serious harassment, and aiming to minimise the impact on victims, can the board explain why the policy appears ineffective in addressing persistent abusive behaviour from a specific resident who holds a police caution, allowing them to continue harassing other tenants without apparent enforcement or resolution, and what steps will be taken to review and strengthen its implementation before the scheduled March 2026 review date? Now, I think, Jenny, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, thank you, Annette. Morning. So, Trust anti-social behaviour policy will and is always reviewed in line with due consideration to best practice and the legal position that we have to operate under. Our current policy is in line with all legal measures that are open to us in dealing with antisocial behaviour cases. And while it wouldn't be appropriate to discuss individual complaints, we do understand that sometimes customers can feel very frustrated by either the outcome of antisocial complaints they have made, or indeed the length of time that they feel that it takes to seek resolution on these. However, for Trust to pursue legal action under the antisocial behaviour legislation, it is essential that we as a landlord are able to demonstrate there are suitable levels of independent substantiated evidence. And actually, when we enter into the legal process, it can be lengthy, which can be very frustrating for all those being impacted by ongoing behaviours. We do take all matters raised with us really seriously, and we do all we can in line with our policy and the legislation to try and resolve any issues of antisocial behaviour. We use all avenues that are available to us to try and resolve these issues, and that can vary from offering mediation in less serious neighbourhood disputes to raising actions to the court to grant an eviction in the most serious cases. Again, no court takes evicting somebody from their home lightly in making that decision. Therefore, we have to demonstrate robust levels of evidence to support that request. And seeking a decree of eviction via the court system can often be a very lengthy process. And also, that decision from the court may not always agree with such actions, and therefore we would not be able to evict anybody from their home without that court action being agreed.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. We also have another question from a member at Langlands, this time asking, so what they said is, given that a formal residents association is a time-consuming, lengthy and administrative burden, does the board envisage any other way in which formal representation can be made by tenants who are paid up members of Trust if they are unable to find someone else who is a paid up member to nominate them for election to the board? Jenny, I think this is probably another one for you.
Yes, thanks, Annette. So yes, I mean, obviously joining the board or through a registered tenants organisation situation isn't the only way you can get involved and representing your views with us as an organisation. And one of the most significant ways is joining our customer representative group. The customer representative group is open to all customers, so not just paid up members, but open to all customers. And we currently have a group of about 7 members that are from different customer groups and different geographies across the country. The customer representative group group over the last year has played a really key part in shaping how we better present, communicate and to conduct our annual rent consultation, and more recently have been significantly involved since the very early stages of our recent rent service charge review. And each year the customer representative group choose a couple of areas of scrutiny to look at how we as an organisation are doing and recommending areas of improvement. So over in this year they have just finished doing customer focus groups around our lettable standard, and they're about to move into looking at our digital comms and engagement for the last 6 months of this year. As I say, they've been doing that through leading focus groups and pulse surveys to gain wider customer feedback. And also what happens then when they make the feedback and the recommendations that have come from customers that they've gathered, that then goes in a report to our audit committee and reported to our board. And the one on the lettable standard that we've just completed will be done in December. So this is another way in which, if you want to be part of the customer panel, that you can have a direct influence on how we're doing and what you think of what we're doing as an organisation.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. And the last and final comment that we received in advance of the AGM is from a member from Arran, who has stated that while this is not a Trust Housing Association responsibility, their comment is that Trust Housing Association have been active in providing affordable housing on Arran. There is an issue that nearly 25% of properties on Arran are second homes, and about 1,750 properties in Arran are not second homes, and some have been on the market for considerable time. In April this year, North Ayrshire Council, in keeping with the Scottish Government policy, doubled council tax on Arran for second homes. My concern is that this income will hardly benefit Arran, with 90% will go to North Ayrshire Council's general fund, but only 1% of properties in North Ayrshire are second homes. None is being used to provide affordable housing in Arran, to repair Arran's roads or finance the outdoor leisure facility, which is much used by school children in Lamlash. Second homeowners have spent substantial sums, mostly employing Arran men and women, renovating derelict or near derelict properties. Doubling the council tax for Arran second homeowners is not to Arran's benefits. Jackie, would you like to take this one?
Yes, happy to do so. While the member is correct, the decision on how second homes council tax is spent is the responsibility of North Ayrshire Council. I'm happy to provide an update on how Trust is contributing to the provision of affordable housing on Arran. Trust are proud members of the Arran Housing Task Force alongside North Ayrshire Council and other local stakeholders. As task force members, we're hugely supportive of more affordable homes being delivered in Arran, but of the right type and in the right location. To this end, we're currently working up proposals to deliver 26 new affordable homes in Brodick, and over the past few years we've also purchased or are in the process of purchasing a further 7 homes from the second-hand homes market. Both these off-the-shelf homes and the 26 new homes we plan to build have been made possible through grant funding and strategic support from the Scottish Government and North Ayrshire Council. And as Norval mentioned earlier, over the last year we've also invested over £2 million in retrofitting 85% of our homes in the island with increased insulation, solar panels, air source heat pumps and battery storage. And that has been alongside a programme of new windows and doors and lifting the majority of these homes to an APC band B or above. So we're doing our part, but unfortunately we're not the council and we can't determine how they spend their funds.
Thanks, Jackie, that's great. I'll pass back to Norval now and see if we've got any questions from the floor. I might just close this down so we can see everybody.
Are there any questions from the floor, in addition to the ones we just dealt with?
Oh, we have.
I use the word floor figuratively since
We do have one. Neil's raised his hand there.
right. Look, you have a question?
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to make a comment and then to ask a question, but Firstly, just to say that, and it's nothing to do with trust, I very much believe that doubling council tax on second homes is in the interests of people on the Isle of Arran, where I live. Anyway, my comment was really just to echo how very, very beneficial the energy improvements in the past year have been on Arran. My wife is a trust tenant, so I live in a trust house, and it has made a great difference to us, and even more of a difference to many of the older houses. And it's very much to be applauded that Trust did this in an area where there is no mains gas, and therefore costs have always been much greater for heating. What I would ask, though, is perhaps Trust might renew its efforts to promote some people's knowledge of the best use to use their new systems, in particular people who have off-peak electricity charging the batteries during the night and selling their surplus from the solar panels back to the electricity companies. Very difficult to do that, and I would hope the Trust might renew its efforts, perhaps through the welfare benefits people, to help tenants to do that. That was my comment. My question, which I hadn't intended to ask before this meeting, was I'm kind of surprised to see at the annual general meeting there are only 2 people other than me who aren't either senior managers or members of Trust's board. So I wanted to ask what is to be done to promote people becoming members and to promote members attending this annual meeting. There's obviously been a professionalisation of housing associations in the past, but we are still a democratic organisation of our members, and perhaps the balance of that needs to be looked at again. Thank you.
Thank you for that. First of all, thanks for the comments about the heating, and I'll perhaps pass to Jackie about the detail on getting people to use nights thing to boost electricity. In terms of membership, we try our best to get members to come to this meeting, and indeed the fact we do it virtually is part of that trying. If you go back in time, meetings were of course not virtual. COVID forced them to be virtual, and we discovered through that we could save a lot of money, which benefits tenants if we did them virtually. And indeed that's tending to happen in most companies, shareholder companies as well. It is a matter of regret that there are more members don't participate, and indeed I imagine we will try again and see if there's any other ways in which we can encourage people to take part in because, as you say, it is a democratic institution. Jack, do you want to say anything about the heating?
Yeah, Neil, thank you for your feedback. That's great to hear. Yeah, we will take on board your suggestion about more education around how the systems can really be maximised for tenants' benefits. We'll look at how we can resource that internally. I think we've been very, very pleasantly surprised how successful the programme's been. And as Norval also said, the team are working on rolling out those benefits to wider tenants groups across the country this financial year. So resources are tight in terms of how we can fit all of that in, but we'll do our best to keep up the profile of how to utilise these systems to their best for customers.
Thank you, Jackie. Are there any other questions from the floor? I don't see any virtual hands. So with that, I think we can declare the meeting closed. Thank you all very much.